What are we talking about? Practice?
Wow, winning.
MMA UK Podcast. MMA UK Podcast. Steve Brigg, John Boy McElroy. Every Sunday.
Hello and welcome to Martial Arts Chat here on the MMA UK Podcast. We're here, we're live, and we're at the next level. And we will be every week with myself, John Boy McElroy, and later my man with a plan, Steve Brigg. So if I can, I'll give you a quick rundown of the show. We'll be getting a different fighter in each week here on MMA UK Podcast. And we'll be talking some good old mixed martial arts later with our panel reacting to last night's show, UFC 204. And of course, answering your fan questions. If you want to get in touch, we're on Twitter at WeAreMMAUK, on Facebook at facebook.com/mixed martial arts UK. Or of course, you can reach myself at Martial Arts Chat, and the same for Facebook. Uncensored, of course, so no matter how ridiculous, we'll be answering your questions and comments, so be sure to hit us up online, guys. And let's start with our fighter interview this week, which was none other than the newly signed to the UFC, Mark "The Hand" of Godbeer. Welcome to the Martial Arts Chat here on MMA UK Podcast, and I'm pleased to say we have returning to the show none other than Bama's heavyweight champion and now UFC heavyweight, Mark "The Hand" of Godbeer. Mark, it's a pleasure to have you back on the show, sir.
Yeah, good to be back, mate. How are you doing out there anyway, alright?
We're doing fantastic, sir. And first off, let me start by congratulating you on this fantastic news. UFC have came to their senses, mate, and realised that the Hand of Godbeer, that's what the heavyweight division needs. When did you get the call, Mark, and can you tell us sort of how it all went down?
Yeah, basically, what happened was... I signed with new management, QLO Sports Management. Obviously, they've got a few contacts here and there. I believe UFC was interested in me anyway. And then with making the contact with QLO and them having contact with UFC, they just linked us together, and they were, it went from there. I knew for a few weeks I was signing, but you know how it goes with these contract things. So I was like, I had to keep quiet on that. It was hard to bite my tongue, put it that way. It was hard, yeah.
Awesome, mate.
Yeah, so, come about. I think it was literally just after the Austin fight and stuff, and obviously we had to go through Bama and stuff like that, and get things clarified, and it was all good. Bama was good, Bama's been a great stepping stone to help me get the bigger stages, Yeah.
Excellent. As we you mentioned there about your Bama duties, and you're defending that belt against you at Austin. What happens going forward then with Bama? Do you still have other duties you need to fill out, or is it exclusively now just UFC from here on in?
No. Once you're with the UFC, that's it, mate. It's exclusive to UFC then. So obviously my contract that I'm no longer contracted with Bama anyway. And then I got the call from the UFC, so that's it now. I've got a 4-fight contract with the UFC. Mate. Took me 8 years to get there. So
fantastic. Yeah. Well, we're delighted to finally see you here in the big stage. And if you don't mind me saying, it's been quite a torrid time for Mark here over the last few years. What with the Bellator London show, amongst sort of other things behind the scenes. I imagine you probably don't want to say too much, sure, but if you can just talk to me about how frustrating times have been for you personally, Mark, and now how you're feeling it's all paid off.
It's been real frustrating, there's a lot of things that's gone on, that people have seen. There's been a few things people haven't seen, but, I don't want, that's the past. The past is the past. Yeah. I'm happy now. I'm happy with my training financially. I'm happy. I've got decent gym, decent sparring partners. Like I said to you earlier before we started, I've got numerous top 10 heavies now. Yeah. Getting hold of me off their own back and ringing me, and all coming down to my gym to help me out, and everything's going well. So, the past is the past. I just want to leave it in the past and move forward. UFC's my main goal now. So, I just I'm just going to leave it there. I'm happy, you know, so I don't really need to bring up the past. So.
Yeah. Good for you, sir. Mark's a guy who's very active on social media, and he's been round his travels on the world the last few months. Obviously, we've seen you returning to Thailand, and I believe you've had the kids with you over there this time. What's that experience been like for you, both professionally and personally?
Yeah, it was great. I've been to Thailand a few times, you know. You know, there's two sides to Thailand. There's the holiday side, you know, which I'm sure a few people heard stories about, and then there's the training side. You know, every time I've been, I've always been training. So, and I love it out there. I just love the climate. I love the people. I love the training. Generally, I go out there on my own to do halfway training camp or so forth. But this time I went out. It was sort of I still train because I'm always ticking over, but it was sort of like a holiday training together sort of thing. But I took my daughter with me as well, so you know, I thought if I'm sort of going on holiday in Thailand, if I take my daughter, then that keeps me on the straight and narrow. So that's what happened. Yeah, she loved it. Best thing I ever done was take her. You know, I opened up her eyes to a different world, really. So. Yeah, it's great. Kudos to you, sir. And of course, part of your travels, we saw you up here in Scotland, training with the Beardew himself, Paul Craig, Scottish Hit Squad crew. How did you enjoy the experience and the time, and what were some of the highlights for you, Mark? Yeah, I loved it, mate. You know, Paul, Brian, and the guys, they're all good guys. Every one of them at the gym, you know, they all really welcomed me. They all, you know, they made sure I felt at home. Great training with Paul Craig. I really can see him going somewhere, you know. He's a good guy, you know, and you know, I'm heavy, he's light heavy, but you know, there isn't much difference before he starts cutting weight and stuff like that. So it was really good high level training. You know, there's aspects where he's better than me at, and there's obviously aspects where I'm better than him at. So we were just picking each other up on faults, and you know, rather than just going up there at this level, you know, it's not really about ego. We go up there, if we see faults, we help each other out, and that's what those guys are all about. They're brilliant. You know, I ain't got a fault to say about those guys. They're good guys, really good guys. After speaking to Paul, I understand there was a difficult training session. He mentioned it was something to do with burgers or steaks or something. What's the story there, Mark? Mate, this is so funny. We just got off the plane, and they're like, you know, Paul picked us up and he said, right, we've got this. There's this burger joint. This burger joint is like one of the best in town. You've got to have one of these burgers. We had one of these burgers, and then this was around about 3 o'clock. We went for this burger and had this massive double, you know, whatever burger. All these, you know, it's basically a load of junk food, you know, we're heavy. Sometimes we can get away with it. Yeah. So, and then we were supposed to be sparring at 6 o'clock, and then basically we finished our food, and he's like, right, sparring in 20 minutes, let's go. And I was like, what? So we sat there and we were about 3 rounds in, and we both just literally stopped, looked at each other and went, mate, I'm going to be sick, got to stop. And we were both just in mutual agreement, you know. Yeah. It went from really technical, decent level sparring to like windmills, like, you know, we were just windmilling it, just grabbing hold of each other, and just like, it just went from level 10 to level 2, like in 3 rounds, and it was like, God. And then, but we just decided, let's have a couple of hours off and come back in a bit. So that's what we've done, let it go down, and so yeah, rule number 1, don't go eating burgers before sparring. That's good advice, mate. Oh, fantastic. Well, last week, both yourself and the UFC, they announced your opponent, Justin Leggett. Not an easy first fight for you, sir, but knowing you, that's the kind of challenge you'll relish. This man's undefeated. How do you rate El Blanco? Have you had the chance to see him fighting his style much, Mark? Yeah, I do. I have seen him fight. Obviously, I've studied him. This is the UFC, you know. Every guy I fight now has got to be a decent standard. So, I know what he's about. He's a very good boxer, very good jab. You know, very good straight 1-2s. To be honest with you, I think he's perfect for my style. So, let's see. You know, let's see what it's about. Let's see what he's got. I know he did fight. Was it Chase Sherman? That's right. Yeah. But you know, Chase Sherman. No disrespect to him, but I think he made Leggett look better than what he actually is. Mm-hmm. He just stood in front of him and just ate punches for 3 rounds, you know, no angles, He wasn't cutting nothing. Every time he was throwing his leg kicks, he was stood upright, you know. I don't want to say too much because obviously, you know, I don't want to give away too much, but, you know, I've seen a lot of holes in that fight, and I've seen a lot of things I can capitalise on, so let's see how it goes down on the night, you know.
And after that, if you get that W, where do you see yourself going next? What's the plan going forward, sir?
Personally, I'm in the best place I've been, you know, fight-wise, mentally, as I said, financially, my fitness, everything's just right, you know, it is the right time now, and I just want to just get in there. I don't care who they put me in with, and just perform, you know, just perform and look for these bonuses. I can do with these bonuses, look for these bonuses, and really make a career and you know, and a living out of it now. You know, now's my chance. So I plan on just grabbing it and going for it.
Excellent, sir. Well, Mark, it's been a pleasure to get your time here again on the show. One last question before you go, sir. This fight, obviously, in Belfast, UFC returning there for the first time in 4 years, I believe. Have you got a message for Belfast and for your fans ahead of November 19th?
Yeah, just, you know, the match, me and Justin has been put together. Obviously, the UFC matchmakers, they know what they're doing. They know this is going to be a good fight. You know, stylistically, it's going to be a good fight. Don't blink. That's all I can say, you know. Don't blink. You know, one punch is over, you know. So this is, there might even be a submission on the cards, you know. So, yeah, let's do it.
Excellent stuff.
I'm glad to be fighting in front of the Irish fans as well. You know, the Irish, they love the fighting scene, and you know, the crazy Irish. I can't wait. I can't wait to hear them. I can't wait to hear them roaring. You know, it's going to be good. So. Yeah.
And Belfast looks forward to you, sir. Mark the Hand of Godbeer, always a pleasure to get your time, sir.
Yeah, no worries, man. Thank you very much.
What a gentleman, what a nice guy Mark the Hand of Godbeer is, and I'm so chuffed, and I think I speak for a lot of people here in the UK, that he's now finally part of that UFC roster. He's out there, or he's about to be out there living his dream, and that starts with UFC Belfast. So this time I'll bring in my man with a plan, Steve Brigg, who was at last night's UFC 204, of course. So Steve, how was it last night? How was staying up first of all till 5 a.m. and how did you find Bisping and hell, of course, Hendo?
Well, staying up till 6 in the morning was enlightening, shall we say. I'm now currently sat here with matchsticks in my eyes. In terms of the show, though, the show was insane. The crowd was amazing, and the fights were just all incredible fights. All the fighters put it all on the line and left nothing behind. So it was an incredible show. It was worth staying up till 6 in the morning for.
Yeah, definitely, mate. I think it was, especially the British fighters. They you know, as we always expected, that they're going to get a very good reception. Hometown fighters always do. That time in the morning, you know, you're thinking, oh, it might be tricky, but you were there live. Talk to me about what that atmosphere was like at silly o'clock.
Yeah, I mean, the crowd was electric. I mean, even from the start, when Danny Roberts was fighting, and then you go at the card through that, all the British fighters received just crazy support. And I think all their opponents received the most booing I have ever heard. Like, when Hendo walked out, it was pretty much a symphony of just boos, and like a herd of cows had just walked into the arena.
Yeah. Well, it certainly was an interesting night of fights. And at this time, let us bring in our panel. We have Mr. Bob Carson of Carson's Corner Podcast and Tom Heffernan of the Daily Record. Gentlemen, thank you very much for giving us your time here today on our first live show.
Thank you, John.
No problem. Thanks, John. Good to be here.
Let's run through some reaction to the fights, starting with the main card. Mr. Stefan Struve, he's really got some momentum behind him now after that health scare a few years back. He looked good, guys. And let's start with Bob Carson on this one. Bob, what were your thoughts on Struve's performance in this heavyweight bout?
Yeah, I was very, very impressed. I mean, he wasn't originally supposed to fight this opponent. I think he was supposed to fight Ruslan Magomedov, and this opponent was a late replacement for him. And you know, he caught a couple shots early in the fight. He remained composed. He took him down. His groundwork was absolutely phenomenal. Got the submission, the first guy to stop